In this layering mixed media process, I'm sharing my secret for using Kuretake Gansai Tambi Neocolor II and Derwent Drawing Pencils. If you've ever felt like your sketchbook pages look a bit flat, these simple steps will help bring your art to life. So I absolutely love using the Kuretake Gansai Tambi paints for the first layer in my sketchbooks when I'm doing mixed media. And I'm simply blocking in the shapes, and I'm using colors that are in the actual picture. So as I layer over top, some of the original watercolor will show through. So as I add layers, I like to leave little pieces of whatever's underneath showing through, so I don't completely cover everything. That's what's going to give it more depth and more dimension. And this is where a lot of people get discouraged because they see it and it's flat and they don't quite know what to do to make it better, or they do some more and it still doesn't look better. So hang in there, because we'll be adding the Caran Neocolor IIs, which are water soluble, next. Okay, so we have our base down, so now we'll have to let it dry. You can actually dry this with a hairdryer if you want it to. Now this is a fun part for me. It's like using crayons when you were a kid. And again, I'm going over areas, but I'm not covering everything. If you see, I'm letting some of that underneath peek through. I stopped there with the Caran for a second because I want to put some of that structure of the tree in. So I grabbed my black Derwent drawing pencil, and this is absolutely my favorite pencil, and I use it for so many things. So I'm just drawing in some shape and form before I go back to the Neocolors. So I really love the Neocolors too. The white is so opaque. I can actually add some and shape things. I can actually go over things and make maybe something smaller. And I'm not worried about being careful or perfect or trying to get everything that looks right. I'm kind of embracing the scribbly look, which I love. I love a little more expression in my art now. And this is in my sketchbook or my art journal. And that's where I love to play and try new things. So I'm continuing on with the Neocolors, and I'm just building up different colors, and I'm putting lights over darks, and I'm putting brights over darks that were paint. I'm just kind of going with the flow. I'm grabbing what speaks to me and I'm just making marks. And the wonderful thing about these crayons is that if I didn't like something, I could just wet it with a damp brush and smooth it out and draw on top of it again. I also find the white is great to actually blend two edges together. One of the things that I really love about the Neocolors is that you can actually layer light over dark. I really find that the process is really going back and forth, layering and then adding pencil, layering, adding a light, layering, adding some dark, letting things show through. We're in that messy middle stage where a lot of people will give up, or they'll stop painting and think, oh, I don't like this, or oh, I've ruined this. You haven't. Just keep going. Trust your instincts. This is so freeing just to be able to take and make marks, and they're so forgiving, these supplies. You'll notice I kind of keep redrawing the outline of the tree as I adjust it, and I'll go back over it with the black Derwent Drawing Pencil. These pencils are wonderful. It's one of the few pencils I found that I can actually seal something and this pencil will not smudge. I could put acrylic sealer over top. In fact, I have before, and they're wonderful. Other pencils will smear and smudge. Not these drawing pencils. I absolutely love them. And they're so versatile. So I'm just taking a damp brush with a little bit of water on it, and I'm just actually blending some of the Neocolor out. I'm softening areas and I'm merging other areas with different colors. Here I'm actually going into the piece while it's still wet with the Neocolors. And the nice thing is you can do that because they're water soluble. Keep in mind though, you don't want to blend everything out because then you'll just have a soft mess. I'm just kind of adding to the overall look, and I will add more textured details now that I've kind of got the overall look that I want. So this is where it starts to come together and starts to come to life. As I start putting those little details and the different colors and the little pops of bright color, you'll see how all of a sudden it starts to transform. But the trick is to alternate, go back and forth. Don't just use one color. Don't leave something one solid color. It doesn't give it any life and it doesn't make it interesting. You know, it's funny, back when I first started painting, I would get to a certain point and I would think, oh, what is wrong with this? I wreck everything. And one day I was doing a dog and I tossed it in the garbage can. I thought, I've ruined this. I can't do anything else. So I continued working on a painting that I was working on because I like to work on more than one. And I was letting that dry and I was bored. So I thought, the dog's in the garbage anyway, I'm just going to pull it out. So I started adding some darks and more contrast and some smaller details. And I realized that it was a really great painting. And it's funny, that's what kind of taught me how to push through that stage. Yeah, it's a learning curve. It really is. You just have to keep going. Sorry, I know I'm jumping and babbling, but I just kind of want to share these thoughts with you as they come to me because I can remember it was hard starting out and I would never take my paintings far enough, or I wouldn't add enough different colors, or I wouldn't let things shine through. Like if you notice, you can still see color through the layers of color that I add. And these crayons are so perfect for that. These crayons are quite pricey, but there are other watercolor crayons that you can get. I have never used them, so I can't guarantee they'll work the same way as these do. Just the fact that you can actually blend them out with water if maybe you've gone too far or if you put too much detail or you don't like that spot, let it dry and then you can work back over top of it. It's such a forgiving medium and the watercolor base is perfect for it. Also, if you need to lighten an area, you can always go over it with a lighter color or a little bit of white and then reblend it with a damp brush. And I leave my finer branches and the tiny little things that are going to be in front till the very end, or I leave them until I know that the background is where I want it, and then I can start adding the smaller things in front of it. And the sketchbook that I'm using is actually a Stillman and Birn, and it's the Zeta series, and it's got a nice smooth paper. It's not really bright white, it's a little off, but it takes so much media. So sorry, I missed a little bit of the filming. I got a little excited and want to get working on it again and forgot to turn the camera on. So what you missed was I just added some texture to the front of the grasses, be in front of the tree, and started adding some texture to the tree with grays and beiges, and now I'm using white to highlight some of the older bark. And I'm using it to actually subdue the back branches some so they don't take over the painting. And here I'm actually just lightening the edge. Now this is a color I love, this peachy color. It is so pretty and it just gives such a nice vibrancy, and it's a little hard to see actually when you record it, and even in pictures it's a color that you have to really see to get the true feel of it. Here's a tip too, when you're adding different colors, try to add it in more than one spot. It helps move your eye around the painting. Now here I've actually switched to the Caran Neocolor ones, which they are very similar, same colors as the Neocolor IIs, except for they're not water soluble. Oh, I love adding these little light pops of color with the lighter Neocolors. Look at how nice that goes over top of the other ones. This is also a Neocolor one. I'm just going over some of the very dark areas. And these Neocolor ones, they feel different when you use them. They glide on smoother, and I find sometimes they'll go over other things a little bit easier. And this just really brings this to life. I love this light green. If you love this layered look, you'll enjoy seeing these exact same steps applied to this mixed media owl. I'll see you over there.